The sound of the key turning in the lock was sharper than usual, a metallic screech that sliced through the suffocating silence of our apartment. It was almost midnight when Gloria, my wife, burst through the door. A manic giggle escaped her lips, her usual calm replaced by an untamed, almost reckless energy. Her eyes, typically soft and gentle, now sparkled with an unsettling, malicious glee. "Late meeting," she said, her words laced with an insincere cheerfulness that grated on my nerves. The scent of expensive cologne clung to her, a fragrance so foreign to both her and the modest life we had built together. I'd known for months, the late nights, the rushed phone calls, the subtle shifts in her demeanor. The insidious signs of infidelity had slowly woven themselves into the fabric of our life. The growing doubt, the sleepless nights spent staring at the ceiling, wrestling with the painful truth, all had led me here. I had been a fool, clinging to hope, to the belief that Gloria, my rock, my best friend, wouldn't betray me. But the laughter she now offered confirmed everything. My plan had been brewing for weeks. This was no fit of rage, no pathetic outburst of macho anger. My revenge would be far more devastating, more precisely crafted. A symphony of calculated destruction that would tear her world apart, brick by painstaking brick. On the kitchen counter, amidst the usual chaos of mail and bills, sat a single, unassuming manila envelope. Its presence was almost invisible, blending into the clutter of our daily lives. But inside, nestled among layers of carefully folded newspaper, was a document, a dossier so meticulously crafted it would shatter everything. A complete and damning record of her affairs. I had spent weeks collecting evidence, following her discreetly, monitoring her phone calls with a legally obtained warrant, accessing her emails. The evidence was overwhelming: text messages, hotel receipts, photographs. Each piece a chilling chronicle of her betrayal. Every lie, every stolen moment. All carefully documented, all laid out in an irrefutable narrative. Her laughter faltered and died in her throat. The manic energy drained from her face, replaced by a mask of pale terror. She saw the envelope. Her eyes locked on it, a flicker of fear replacing the earlier bravado. She reached forward, her hand trembling. I didn't stop her as she unfolded the newspaper, revealing the meticulously compiled document. Her breath caught. Her eyes widened, first with disbelief, then with horrified recognition. The details, so carefully organized, hit her like a physical blow. The casual, almost affectionate tone I had adopted to describe the specifics of her affair amplified the cruelty of the truth. I hadn't sensationalized it. I had made it brutally factual, stripping away the romantic lies she had surrounded her betrayal with. She read the names, the dates, the locations, the meticulously documented timeline of her deception. The extent of it was laid bare before her. Her face twisted into a grotesque mixture of shock, guilt, and terror. The color drained from her lips. The manic energy was gone, replaced by a horrifying stillness, as if she were witnessing her own destruction in slow motion. When she finally looked up at me, her eyes were empty, devoid of the life they once held. Her knees buckled, and she sank to the floor, the manila envelope clutched tightly in her trembling hands. The laughter was long gone, replaced by a deep, guttural sob that echoed through the apartment. I watched her, my heart heavy with a cocktail of grief and vindication. It wasn't the catharsis I had imagined. There was no triumphant sense of justice, only a profound sense of loss. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, had been a stranger all along. The following days blurred in a haze of frantic activity. The dossier wasn't just a record of her betrayal. It was a carefully orchestrated campaign of consequences. I had leaked it strategically to ensure the ripples of its impact spread far and wide. I sent anonymous copies of everything to the key people in her life: her parents, her employer, even her closest friend. The fallout was swift and unforgiving. The prestigious job she had always boasted about vanished. The image she had carefully crafted, one of success and perfection, shattered beyond repair. The man she was having an affair with, married, no less, was exposed, facing the fury of his own family and social circle. Her parents, once her greatest supporters, were devastated. They had loved her unconditionally, but now they were left heartbroken and disgusted. The perfect daughter they had always been so proud of was now a social outcast. Her once thriving social life withered, leaving only emptiness in its place. I didn't take pleasure in witnessing her downfall. There was no satisfaction, no sense of victory, just a nauseating finality. It was the end of a dream, a future we once imagined together, now reduced to a bitter memory. The legal consequences were unavoidable. I filed for divorce, and it was a brutal, rapid process. She fought with everything she had, clinging to whatever remnants of her life she could salvage. But the evidence was undeniable. The court hearings were little more than formalities, the punctuation on a tragic story. The day the divorce was finalized, there was no sense of triumph. I didn't celebrate. Instead, I was consumed by a hollow emptiness, as though something had been lost forever. My revenge had been total, devastatingly effective, but it cost me more than I had anticipated. I had destroyed her, but in doing so, I had destroyed something of myself too. Afterward, I moved out of our apartment, severing ties with the life we had shared. I sold everything, cutting all remnants of our past. The pain lingered, a constant ache in my chest, a reminder of everything we had lost. The healing process was slow, excruciating, and there were days when grief threatened to swallow me whole. Yet through the despair, a flicker of hope began to emerge, a hope for a future where I could rebuild, where happiness could be found again. Not in spite of the past, but because of the lessons it had taught me. My journey to healing had only just begun. But I felt deep down that I would find my way back to the light. The road ahead would be long and difficult, but I was determined to walk it, one step at a time. The laughter had faded, but a quiet strength was beginning to take its place.